Hi, this is Mike with Downtown Sound Off. Today we're going to be catching up with the Fort Collins band Post Paradise. They've been kind enough to take a little time out of their rigorous practice schedule here to go over what kind of effects and instruments that they're using. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what we got going. He's going to go over and show us what he's got going on for guitar stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so first, I'm traveling with two right now. So this is the Reverend, it's the Billy Corgan model, the BC1, I believe. I went with the purple because you kind of have to go with the purple.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's got, so all Reverends have this, like the bass roll-off, so you have like volume, tone, and then it's almost like a reverse tone, so it rolls off the bass stuff, which is nice because with pedals you can kind of back that off rather than the volume, and it kind of brings your grit down a little bit. Yeah, it's the only guitar I own right now with a maple fretboard, which I was kind of scared of at first, but it's actually wonderful. So yeah,
cool.
These like custom wound pickups too. Reverend like winds their own pickups, rail buckers, I think they're called.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
those
that.
are the rail buckers.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool there. And I'm using a what is this? It's the Shure GLX wireless thing there. Into the
Nice.
one of these for both of my guitars. I'll show you the other. This is what started me down my dark Reverend path.
Aha.
This is the Double Agent 2.
Nice.
I saw this. I actually brought a buddy of mine and Amy went down to Wildwood in Louisville, and they were there to talk me out of buying a guitar. And sure enough, I found this thing, and it's got the P90 and the humbucker, and I pretty much keep it in the middle all the time. Same thing with the bass roll off here. I can back it off to kind of get different sounds with that, but just the combo of those two pickups is absolutely wonderful. It's one of those guitars just like fit you like a glove the first time, you know.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool. And as far as between the two, what do you have different purposes for them, or different songs you use them for?
If it came down to that, I would love to. If we were at that point where I could swap guitar, if we had time in our set. Usually it kind of depends on what we're doing, and if I broke a string the night before, I'd pull the other one out. That kind of thing. This one, they definitely have different sounds, even though they're very like similar. Because those are essentially on the Billy Corgan ones. They're like hotter, humless P90s, if that makes sense. That's why they're like split rail, so that it gives you P90 sound, but doesn't have all the like downsides of a P90. So they're similar. That one has been like fitting, I think, more with what we do, because we always have to like leave room for the cello, and we spent a lot of years kind of tonally adjusting to make sure everything had space.
Sure.
Throughout the live show. So yeah, it's a which color do I like better today? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's not one that you find yourself using more than the other right now.
I've been using that one more lately just because it's newer. It's it's the new toy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think it looks pretty rad. So.
Cool. And then here we've got the pedal board I recognize from the pedal board party.
Yes. Oh, the pedal board party. Yeah. So we'll go through the chain, I guess, real quick. So
Sure.
This is where everything comes in via the wireless packs. I just have one for each guitar, whatever I'm using. I actually use like a longer cable. I think it's either 10 or 15 to get into the pedal board, just in case this happens to. It's like the new. It runs like on the Wi-Fi frequency, like 2.4 gigahertz or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I bought it, which was like 3 years ago, I was like, if this doesn't work, I need to unplug quickly. So I always have a cable going. Yeah. So we start there. We've got. I don't know if you can see everything all right, but I've got a. I think it's Solid Gold Effects, just a buffer at the very beginning, because I used to run like a 20-foot cable out of that. Then we run into the old tuner, which I think I've had that since high school. It's that, it's actually same as the pedal board. My grandfather built this for me. There's the lid right there and all the, many years worth of stickers.
Cool.
Yeah, so tuner first. We run into, I actually have to remember this now. We go into the fuzz, this Faro, Black Art Stoneworks. which is pretty cool as far as fuzzes go, but it kind of has, like, I feel like I can put these knobs anywhere, and it still sounds just as good, so it's like, the pedal does what it does. which is fuzz, and that's why I have it. Then we move into the Bit Commander Earthquaker devices. This guy is kind of insane. I don't use it often. It's got basically your regular tone and then 3 different octaves, like a sub octave, a lower octave, and then a higher one. And there's volume controls for each, and it gets just really wacky. And then into an actual bit crusher. So this is the Lo-Fi machine from Moore. I use that on the river, like that song, the last video we did.
Right.
It just kind of breaks it up a little bit and makes the clean guitar stick out a little bit more. Then we go to the Dirt Transmitter, also from Earthquaker Devices. This guy is, it's a fuzz with adjustable bias, so you can, I actually back it off like to that dead battery, the sputtery kind of sound.
Yeah.
I can show you after, but mostly for effect. I don't really use it for extended periods of time. And then we go into the Direct Drive, which is like my main overdrive right now. Also from Wildwood Guitars when I was trying out guitars. It's really close to the distortion of my Vox, but it's just a little bit, it cuts a little more, I guess, like from the, it's similar to the top boost channel, which I love on the Vox. So I'm just able to kind of shape it a little bit more.
And who makes that Direct Drive?
It's Barber Electronics. I think they're I want to say they're still handmade. It's a small company. They've been around for a long time. But I feel like Tone Press is a popular compressor they do.
Yeah.
From that, I go to the full drive. This is kind of the madman. I keep it pretty much dimed on overdrive most of the time. So I'll stack these. Sometimes I'm doing a solo and just need it to go crazy, or if I need feedback or something like that. I really just like this because of the sustain, and it works really, really well in front of the Vox. Because that circuit's so kind of unique. Like a lot of distortions won't work with an AC30. So I just find ones that actually still sound organic in a way. From there, we jump over to the Grand Orbiter Phase Machine, also from Earthquaker. If you can't tell, I went through an Earthquaker kick probably 2 years ago. So this guy, I was using just the standard phaser for a long time, but this one is so transparent. You can't hear a click, you can't hear anything. You turn it on, and all of a sudden your sound just phases, but it doesn't take away any of the tone, which is really, really cool. And they've since updated it. I think there's 2 more versions of this that's probably more expensive and bigger and more bells and whistles and stuff. But this is a Craigslist deal. You go into the parking lot of a Guitar Center and feel like a drug deal.
Oh yeah.
Then we go to the delay, DL4. We play to a click almost exclusively, so I can actually set all these delay times to just be locked into the songs that we need to be doing. And a lot of the time, I'll just have one sound that works really well on different, I don't know, all the tempos for certain songs, we'll keep them pretty similar, so it'll work for multiple songs. And I actually modded this guy a little bit, so the LEDs are different colors and stuff, and I changed out the switches to be the actual enclosed ones, so they're not those they break all the time. So it's been great. We've hardened that. We did it to Amy's too, kind of the same mod, but it's been really sweet. After that, we get to the reverb. This guy, I can't recommend this pedal enough. We bought this for Amy to try on the cello. It's the Mr. Black Eterna Gold Modified. So it's a shimmering reverberator. I was just thinking that'll be cool on a cello. And she tried it and it sounded great. And I was like, well, let me give it a shot. And I started using it on every other song. So it's when I need something to get spacey or just really far away and super long reverb trails. But it doesn't get in its own way. The notes still come through clear, and you've got this shimmer knob, which actually adds, they call it angels in the manual, but it's it gives you just an upper octave to it too, so it kind of kicks through a little bit, and it's just really, really musical, really, really good. And that was just kind of an impulse purchase, and ended up being super awesome. Then last in line, I don't think I missed anything, we get to the Switchblade, and this is just your regular $20-$30 EHX switcher, but I use this because I run 2 cables to my amp, the AC30, so the normal channel and then the top boost, so that I can switch between them. And it's kind of a balancing act to get the 2 channel volumes similar, because they're not really meant to be used that way. But I just really like the clean, or the normal channel rather, to put pedals in front of, and then the top boost is such a great overdrive crunch. So and if you want to use both channels, I can do that, and it doubles them up, which is pretty sweet. And everything's running off the regular pedal power, you can see, which I was actually just daisy chaining all my stuff, and that worked fine. I didn't have any hum or anything like that, but it just got to the point where it was like I'm using so much stuff all the time, and I don't know, I felt like I could breathe easier if I had something that I knew was going to work well. And then this is, since we do the light show all the time, it's always dark between songs, so I just bought a little like USB gooseneck thing for lighting the board up. Yeah.
Cool. And do you use the foot switch for the Vox there?
Yeah. So this is actually reverb and tremolo, and I just kind of have them set on the amp itself. But it's great having, like, I will always use the spring reverb on an amp instead of a spring pedal, even though like Holy Grail and stuff, those are really good, but I used one of those for a while. But once this amp had it, I was like, it sounds so good, I don't really need to do anything else.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What as far as dream pedals, what would be the next pedal that you want to get?
I don't know. I've been I've been trying not to think about that, we'll put it that way. Even at the pedal party the other day, there was some cool stuff. Some of those Zevex things that was the Fuzzalo you guys were talking about. That's a fun one. Or the Channel 2, or I've always wanted the Fuzz Factory. They have that fat Fuzz Factory now that I wanted to try, but I've never owned one, and I should, because why not?
She starts me up like a generator. I just don't know if I lose control when we're together. I know nothing's out about the sweetness. You know she hurts my
This is the classic Custom 2, so it's not the newest one. It's like one model back. But it was the cabinets where they still use the real wood. I guess they use like particle board now or something like that. But I really like it. It's been pretty solid. I've got an amp guy down in Loveland actually that has worked on it for me just to keep it going, because I don't know how many hundreds of hours I've put in this thing, but over the past like 5 years. But yeah, as long as you keep extra tubes around, and I don't know, I've got all my settings taped, so it's always just like I know where I want it to be, and yeah, it's the platform for all that I do.
Cool. And you use this mainly for recording too?
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, so we did Bring It to Life Side A and Side B, which is coming out 2 months. But it's kind of nice because you roll into, we did Blasting Room and Andrew, and what's funny is like they have just an entire wall of amps. Like there's a whole hallway where it's just every amp thing you can think of, and they've got EC30s and stuff too. But I just happen to like the way mine sounds, and we tried it out, and it's like, yeah, let's use this. Perfect. So that's like one channel. We double tracked guitars, or rather we ran through 2 amps at once and did a direct in case we had to reamp later, but this was always one of them. And we used a Toneville for most of side A as the other one to blend the two, and then it was a old vintage Trainer bass head that once you crank the thing, it gives this really nice overdrive, so we had that mixed with the Vox. Yeah, but this is the main sound you'll hear on the new record for sure.
She's right next to me. If she goes, I don't know how else to sleep. She starts me.
Okay, great. We're going to talk with Amy here. She plays the cello in Post Paradise. Let's talk about your pedals first and what you got going here.
So yeah, I have a tuner and an in-ear system, so I don't have frets, so if I can't hear myself, it's bad. And then I have an EQ pedal to kind of even out some of the tone that I want and make it sound a little bit fuller and like a real cello. And a reverb pedal, Holy Grail. And that one I usually keep on the hall reverb, just it sounds a little bit warmer and richer for the cello tone.
And is that one, do you leave that on most of the time then?
Yeah, I leave it on all the time. It sounds kind of dry and electronic without it. It's kind of weird. And then I have a T-Rex distortion pedal with boost, and I use the distortion just throughout randomly throughout songs. Then I use the boost when I need to pizzicato and need a little bit more volume. And then I have a Line 6 effects pedal with like laser, flange, random delay kind of things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And that one you guys have replaced the switches in that one as well?
So we have different colors. Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. Can we hear a little bit of the T-Rex and maybe some of the line 6 there?
This is without distortion. We tried a bunch of distortion pedals, and they just react really bizarrely with the cello, and this was the first one that sounded really good. And then the boost is, so without the boost for pizzicato. So it keeps the tone about the same.
Yeah, it adds a little more punch. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then what do you got going with the line 6 here?
So this one. I don't know, what is this one? What is that?
It's like a rotary.
Like a rotary kind of thing? Yeah. And then. And this one kind of reacts speed and volume. And I use that pizzicato for a couple songs. And this one's kind of the same thing, but just steady.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, but with just a couple of effects, you've got pretty big change to your tone. That's neat.
Yeah, and I have a delay pedal I haven't really found a spot for, and a loop pedal that I need to conquer before I start using it.
Cool. And then what do you have here for the electric cello?
This is the Yamaha silent cello, and it's the SVC 210. And before I got this, I played with an acoustic cello with a pickup attached, and we had a lot of issues because we have drums and bass and it's loud on stage. We had a lot of issues with feedback, and it would just I was just constantly like muting strings that were just going crazy on their own. And we switched over to this one, and it's just clean and awesome and works so much better for what we do. So, and it's almost silent if I play it just without being plugged in. So you can play it. It's meant to be a practice cello, I guess. So most people play it like at night or in hotel rooms or whatever when they're practicing and that kind of thing. But it works awesome for live too. So yeah, it's really nice for traveling. So I just have my power supply and my out in my pedal board, and then it folds up. And this part comes out. And so we can fit it into this tiny little travel case instead of like a big, gigantic, full-size cello case.
Yeah, can you take that on an airplane?
I don't know. I'm scared to try. Because if it did have to get checked, the case that it travels in is a soft case, and it wouldn't survive being checked. So it makes me nervous to try it. So eventually we'll find out. But when I travel with it, we've flown a couple times, and I just put it in I just have a hard case for my acoustic that this fits in just fine.
Cool.
So it's like the same dimensions as an acoustic cello. It feels the same to play. It just doesn't make horrible noises when I don't want it to, unless I want it to.
Nice. And you've got a bunch of signatures on there. Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, actually. So Nick, I was planning on getting an electric cello eventually, but I hadn't been able to afford it. And Nick got about 15 of our friends together to help pitch in to buy it for me for my birthday 3 years ago. And so everybody who helped buy the cello got to sign the side of it.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for giving us a rundown of what you're using.